Batman Day. Hey, everybody, I'm Nico.
I'm TK.
And that impromptu theme song means that it is, in fact, Batman Day here on X's for Show.
Was that original fanfare right there, or were you doing...
I started Elfman, and I wound up kind of Dwarf Man. It was not what I wanted.
Okay, I thought it might be like sort of a jazzy ba 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 ba, but it didn't really go there.
Yeah,
it felt like that's where it started. It didn't feel like where it went. Anyway,
well, welcome to, according to Matt Fraction, the Gotham you want to live in. We are here talking about Batman Day. It is 9/20/2025, and it is like the 11th Batman Day. Good job, DC. We are out here celebrating the Caped Crusader and all of his Caped Crusades.
what's the significance of the date?
You know, I've never really been sure because, like with Alien, it's April 26th, no matter what happens, right? Like LV-426, we're doing it.
Oh,
right?
okay.
And so we're living that life. You know, New Year's Day, we have just sort of decided it has to be January 1st. And I'm sure there's some really cool thing like the second to last Saturday of September is the original release date of Zorro. So like it's Batman's favorite day to go to the movies or something. He's certainly not going to the American Dream Mall. But Gotham is in New Jersey and everyone's wrong. So I don't know. I have a lot of feelings. I feel like Batman Day is a worthwhile day. It's certainly one that I think deserves a bipartisan agreement.
I mean, I'm willing to celebrate. I'm still confused as to what defines the day. Like, did they take little Bruce to the theater on September 20th? Like, what happened? I don't know. I can't say. That's actually going to be my headcanon until somebody explains to me why it's Batman Day. Thomas and Martha Wayne took their son to the theater on September 20th.
Oh my God. So you're going to get so mad. All right. So the first ever Batman Day was 2014. I just made up 2014, and it was to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the character, which was held on the day of his origin, July 23rd, 2014, at San Diego Comic-Con. However, it was moved to September in 2015. With no reason given other than it is a good time to celebrate Batman on the we'll go with Bat liturgical calendar.
That does make me angry. It's really stupid. The least they could have done is put out a press release saying Bruce Wayne was busy in July and his first opening was September. That would have been funny. Okay, so it just cause is the reason, but I like mine too. Also, I will be telling people that it's because canonically that the Wayne's big night out was September 20th.
Wayne's Big Night Out, of course, the sequel to Garth's Funny Day In. I feel like one of the things about Batman Day that's so exciting is there's like reprints galore. I went and I grabbed, and of course they're not with me right now, but this is a podcast, so who cares? I grabbed Batman Year 1. I grabbed a reprint. I'm sorry, Batman Year 2 this year. It's Batman Year 2 #1. I grabbed a reprint of Batman and Robin #1, Year 1, the book by Mark Waid that we love so much. I grabbed some special covers of Absolute Batman. I went to the Geekery in New Jersey. It's over in Matawan. They were such a great shop when I was in Young Men in Love, the first volume. Guys, go check that out. They had a signing for us. They were so great, so cool. Such a queer-friendly shop. They had some great sales. The only reason I did not buy every copy of that little DC digest of Hush and Court of Owls is because I'd be giving them to you and you have no place to put them.
It's true. I do not have any place to put them.
But I'm like such a big fan. You know, when I think about Batman Day, one of the things that I do think about is like the proliferation of Batman is deep, right? Like seriously, name all of the X-Men cartoons for me right now.
Pride of the X-Men, X-Men the animated series, X-Men Evolution, Wolverine and the X-Men, the X-Men anime, X-Men 97.
You're done.
Yeah.
Okay, start naming all of the adaptations of Batman. Now, Batman, there's live actions, so
Yeah.
you can throw live action Batman TV in
Yeah.
a different way than you can. Oh God, what was not Mutant X called? The Gifted. You can't
Yeah.
put Gifted in the same category as like Gotham.
Why?
Because Gifted was purposely designed to avoid any major characters, whereas Gotham is designed around major characters. Like they were told, you cannot use anyone we might want for the films.
Right.
Gotham was told, do anything you want, you're your own universe. I remember walking away from The Gifted feeling like, man, I really wish anybody that worked on this understood the X-Men.
See, I did not feel that way. Where this is, we can't get into this now. This will turn into its own thing. I sort of felt that way a little bit more. Like, it's funny because you're right. Like, factually, you are correct. Because Bruce Wayne is in the show. Like, everybody's in the show. But the glaring thing to me,
Alfred and
I
like
know. But the glaring thing to
Jim.
me is
Jim.
specifically that the hot gay Gallagher is not the Joker.
Okay.
I mean, he definitely is the Joker, but he's never named as the Joker because for some reason they decided not to do that. Now, again, your point is way more correct than mine. That is one character that they didn't have. They had Bruce Wayne, they had Selena Kyle, they had Alfred, they have every major Batman person, really. They just don't have the Joker. In contrast, The Gifted, you are correct, has no really major. There's no primary mutant. There's tertiary where you have like Lorna. But
and then there's not Oscar Isaacs, who plays not Sunspot Pete Wisdom.
yeah, that's he's not even that's a semi-original character.
Semi-original. Good for them having a half thought.
So like, yeah, they don't have. I mean, like Blink, obviously not big. The villain one season is Reva Page, who I think has appeared in 7 collective pages of X-Men comics.
Ooh, more than Buck.
But dynamite hairstyle on the actor, and still I feel like, I don't know, for some reason I'm like, no, The Gifted is more of an X-Men show than Gotham is a Batman show,
which
but
I'm hearing.
I mean, yeah, you can hear how passionate I am about it, but I'm wrong. Like I'm absolutely wrong.
I disagree that you're wrong. I think you have your particular fandom perspective, but I far from think you're wrong.
But like quantity wise, you laid out some facts and some numbers that I think bear out that I'm not correct. I don't feel bad not being correct about this. I'm not. Anyway,
I don't feel bad about being right either. Just to make it helpful.
I shockingly, I've known that about you for some time, but I know we go back to like the first Batman adaptation is from like the 40s, right?
Yeah.
30s or 40s.
Truly.
And then obviously, you've got Adam West, you've got the Keaton into Schumacher, you've got animated series, New Batman Adventures, Batman Beyond, Batman appearing in the Justice League, then Justice League Unlimited, the Batman, thank you, Brave and the Bold, the Cape Crusader, which just came out. The Bat characters in Young Justice. If you really count Bat Fam, you've got Teen Titans, you got Teen Titans Go. And again, like you can't say like there's no X-Force series. There's no Excalibur series. Even if you count The Gifted is actually something that we started talking about towards the end of Krakoa and towards the start of imagining MCU X-Men, which it would be really cool if they would just rebrand everything as the Mutants and pull away from X-Men and get into mutant stuff. The Gifted is actually a mutants show.
Oh yeah.
It's much more about, I mean, like there's literally no X team, but then it's not an X-Men show. And it has, it's not even it's not an Excalibur show. It's not a generate, like name any team that would show up when the X-Men were like, X-Men come fight. And they're still not in The Gifted, or in Legion, some great X-Men adaptations that are still like kind of not X-Men
Mutant
adaptations.
X.
Again, yeah, fantastic example.
Victor Weber.
But Robin is Bat Fam, like Robin is Bat Fam.
Truly.
And so when you're talking about all of those shows, they sort of do count towards Batman. Yeah, more than even like two of the biggest shows, which would be Gifted and Legion, count for X-Men. Those two shows count much more for this like idea that weirdly the owners of the X-Men IP have just sort of refused to deal with. Which is like, I mean, like, it's sort of funny because it shows the great difference between these two properties, and like something that I think makes DC unique from Marvel and vice versa, which is like Batman is sort of unchanging.
Yes.
You can build on the concept, which is why we have such a cool Bat Fam of additional people, all of whom I love, I've fallen in love with over the last year. But like Batman's a monolith. Batman's not going anywhere. Batman is almost obnoxiously not changing, but is such a strong monolith, obelisk, like just a stone structure that will never change. Meanwhile, the X-Men are literally evolving at all times. They're constantly changing. Charles Xavier, for all of his problems up through the 90s, was just actually kind of just supposed to be a good guy, complicated guy, but a father figure, and is now basically a villain. Magneto was a huge villain who is now basically a hero. Emma Frost, villain, now a hero. Everything changes constantly. Scott Summers, Boy Scout into revolutionary. And so Marvel has this cool thing that can constantly evolve and can be whatever they want. And it's sort of frustrating that given that they own that, they've been like, no, we can't change this IP ever. So like when you get a movie, it's probably just going to be a core X-Men team doing core X-Men team stuff. Where, branding on the mutants would be really cool. Separate from that, Batman can just keep putting out Batmans, and it can find ways to make them different because you gotta sell some goods. You gotta give people something new, something flashy. But like also the value prospect is sort of in the fact that like, no, Gotham, the show about Bruce Wayne as a little boy, is actually still kind of just a show about Batman.
It's still just not just a show about Batman. It's a show about the characters that you know and love. And like, I think something that we don't talk about enough, and I'm so glad you said the phrase value proposition, is not enough people think about the value proposition of extrapolating on ideas you already know. You know who the X-Men are by concept, but you don't know, Eye Guy. You don't know Glob Herman. You don't know Pixie. You don't know these random mutants. And I mean, obviously, if you're listening to our show, you do. Welcome.
I was going
to
to say,
party,
it's
pal.
such a difficult thing for me to listen to you say, because I want to be like, no, I actually know every single one of those people. Thank you.
Well,
exactly.
But
Of
course, but like
in America, broadly, we can expect that, your mother knows who the X-Men are. But if you were like, it's an X-Men movie with Glob Herman, they would be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's one of the reasons that I often think that, and like, you can love it or dislike it, whatever you feel about it. Mm-hmm. I think that in many ways, Community is one of the most mean-spirited comedies of all time because they operate under the same principle that the show Roseanne did, a never my house, which is to say that it's okay to be queer, except if you're not one of my queers, then it's not okay. Community loves to say that people just don't respect the things that make the people in Community happy, but they love to then immediately start ripping into everything that is joyful for anyone else. And I understand that the definition of found family is different person to person, but like Community's joke about my favorite X-Man is X-Man. Actually, X-Man is somebody on this show's favorite X-Man. And the idea that that is something that British should be ridiculed for is a surface read by people who say that people who don't do deeper reads are jokes and that everyone should do the deeper read except us. We're fucking funny for doing the surface read and you're a loser for thinking there should be a deeper read. Because like the other thing I think about all the time is like, I'm so sorry, but I am pretty sure that choral music is about as old as being mean-spirited and shitty in school. And so like the idea that so much of Community focused on like this mean-spirited sense of, yeah, but our shit never stinks. I actually think that's what holds X-Men back. People believe that, well, my definition of X-Men is fucking funny as hell. My definition of X-Men is the animated series, the first movie, the second movie, not the third movie, the fourth movie for sure, parts of the fifth movie, no sixth movie. I skipped the TV shows, but let me tell you, when they're in the MCU, I'm gonna have a lot of feelings about Maggot. Oh, no, you don't. And I feel like the proliferation of X-Men into this cultural identity that everybody likes to just poke fun at and also say that they know who Wolverine is, so they're cool, is the most soccer mom white woman thing I've ever heard. And so like I always go back to that Community joke as like the definition of everybody that worked on this is a fake fan. Unless they were trying to do a double meta, double back joke about, well, X-Man is a cool character, and you don't know that, but then the humor is too nuanced. And I think what I'm trying to say is you could probably make a Robin joke and somebody say, well, hold on, there's 4 Robins. And it wouldn't be so uninformed because the side world of Batman is so much better known in cultural vernacular than is the side world of X-Men.
It's also a lot smaller, though.
I don't know that I think it's smaller. I think major players are fewer, but each major player has that many minor characters. And so like,
yeah, but I don't think most people know Cassandra Cain's mom.
You know, I think Cassandra Cain's mom is probably as recognizable as is Mastermind. And like, yeah, I hear you coming, but like, I want to look up if Lady Shiva was on the CW Arrowverse. Because then I think that's just a black spot that you and I both have. I think that's just like a spot that you and I both kind of agree we don't know enough. But like, if Lady Shiva's a big deal in Arrow, well, then Talia al Ghul by George, the guy's got it.
Yeah, Talia al Ghul's another good example. I don't think most people know. I mean, like, if you say the name, they're going to get it from context clues.
They'll have to recognize her from one of the most successful films ever made. Because the movie with Talia al Ghul,
oh right, she's in one of the movies,
more money than the top 2 X-Men movies combined. No, and that's what makes it so tough, isn't it? Because like I feel like the fact that Talia al Ghul is in a movie that made more money than Emma Frost ever made, but I feel like Emma Frost is better known than Talia al Ghul.
Better utilized and liked. It's a very interesting thing. This is a very funny conversation. Because it really does get to the heart of a lot of things.
We've said the word "the gifted" more than the word Batman. So
I truly, and now I got to take it back. The only thing you're missing about Community is, to me, I'm sorry, you brought it up. So now,
do it.
The only thing you're missing about Community is the whole point is that they are bad people. And
no,
there is,
one of them is not a bad person. One of them is there. One of them is literally the most no, one of them is the best person in the history of television, and I won't hear anything else.
I love them all, but
Annie is the most flawless human in the history of television. Annie. I breathe Andy Camp, love Annie. I love Annie
so much too. I really do. I love Allison Brie, but they do such a good job of pointing out all of the ways that the characters are terrible. And like,
also Lorelai Gilmer's never made a mistake. I mean,
what?
Oh, I'm just saying that I think that incredibly powerful.
Show?
I think dynamic, powerful women.
Yeah, no, I get it.
They can't be flawed.
I really had a moment there where I was like, this is going to turn out that I've hopped universes again, and Paget Brewster was Lorelai Gilmore this whole time, and I've been saying it was Paget Brewster in the 7th season.
No, Paget Brewster was the character that they were trying to replace Candy Alexander with in the 4th season of News Radio. It's Lauren Graham. Lauren Graham is introduced as the replacement for Candy Alexander in the 4th season of News Radio. They decide that maybe they're better off just canceling the show. And then Andy Dick does some weird shit, and we lose Phil Hartman, and they're like, Lauren Graham never happened. Just renew the show.
We gotta go. We gotta cut out. But yeah, no, I do think the whole point of it is, I think a lot of what you're saying is right, but I think part of it is that even the worst people will make a family, which is also the point of the X-Men.
All right. Well, if you're going to go ahead and make sense, I guess I'm going to have to give you points for being correct.
Yeah, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. There's also, it's in the same way that, like, Brooklyn Nine-Nine has a lot to say about what is wrong with the police and has a lot to say just about who people are, but takes place in a police station. But at the end of the day, it is a show about how all these cops are great people.
You know, and that's even part of what the Mick walks very careful. Not the Mick, oh my God, but High Potential walks very careful. So as somebody who, and like, I'm not putting this out there for any reason other than I'm sure most of you say it when I'm not there. I'm somebody who tests really well. I don't know that I actually have like a really great IQ or if I'm just really good at taking tests, but I really, really, really identify with Morgan on High Potential. I feel like I am basically walking around my life being told that I'm the only one who can save the day. And as soon as I save the day, the first thing I hear is, well, you know, that's not that great. And like, I feel like that is, I'm sure that's the nature of a lot of people in support positions in corporate America. So I certainly don't think that I'm special in that regard. But like one of the things that I feel like High Potential captures really uniquely is Kitty Pryde syndrome. And I think that what a lot of people maybe forget about what makes Batman, what makes the X-Men so powerful is exactly High Potential. It's a person that is spectacular who is doubted despite being spectacular. Kate is a young white woman in Chicago. So first of all, she's not allowed to be special. She's a woman. Second of all, she's not allowed to be special. She's young. Third of all, she's a white woman in an era where comics are beginning to understand that black men are powerful, cool, and special. And the way they're doing it is by forgetting young white women exist. And so Kate is lucky, like Jon Stewart is lucky, that the editors maybe didn't notice they existed for a minute. And so we got to have this important piece of representation that would go on to change time. But whether it's Kate or it's Bruce, you know, one of the things that I always crack up about when I'm reading Absolute Batman, and Absolute Batman is one of the top 10 titles of the last 5 years. Absolute Bruce is 6'7" and 240. I'm 6'1" and 210. And people come up to me and like, how do you get your arms that big? And I'm like, can I be honest? I kill myself every day for this. And like, Bruce is 6'7" and 240, and people look past him is one of the elements of Absolute Batman. I'm 6'1" and 210, and no one looks past me. And so, like, the idea that we have moved the High Potential story to she's got an IQ of 160, where Bruce is 6'7", where Kate is literally a tech genius on par with Dr. Victor Von Doom, where he notices her as a child.
And what's she doing for work right now?
Right. She's a teacher in an inner school area where nobody gives her any credit, and her school trips are to the mall. Oh,
that is her volunteer side project. She is a waiter at a cafe.
Oh my God. Oh, I've never heard anything that describes my educational journey more.
Yeah.
Why don't you just stab me in the chest with the coffee shards? Oh
yeah, it's not fun. You know, Happy Batman Day. I really didn't even think about Absolute Batman, which is a sort of, I think, nice way to play around with how do you get a Batman who is not the other Batman. Because that's, you know, DC, a lot of their characters are monoliths, and they do a really good job with that. And again, they are unmovable stone structures in the bedrock of DC continuity. And then they'll be like, on Earth too, he's different. But it's like the details are just a little, again, like I always have to go to Helena Wayne / Valerie Bertinelli. Like they're both Huntress. They both look exactly the same.
They're both taking it one day at a time on Kids
Yeah.
Baking Championship.
One of them is Bruce Wayne's daughter, and the other one is part of the persecuted Italian race of the DC universe that are doing nothing but crimes. So it's like no, it's not really different. No, that's not different.
No.
That's just two ladies in a huntress mask. But no, that's not really different. Having it be he's again 6'7", 240, young guy, like, who's not rich and who is doing this for just entirely different reasons in entirely different ways. That's actually different.
Bruce Sulek is unique. Wait.
It's as different as we've gotten in some time, I think.
I agree.
Even a character like Terry is Batman beyond by way of Bruce Wayne, his mentor, who's trying to make him a Batman in a sleeker suit because it's the future.
Okay, but you are I fancy myself a Bruce Wayne. I fancy myself a Batman. I don't ever really see myself as Robin. And I've often said that one of the things you are is Nightwing, because you are so capable of being yourself without ever needing to step in someone else's shadow while always being comfortable being referential. I feel like there are ways that you are Terry to my Bruce, because I'm such a classicist, but you are so uniquely ferocious in your own tradition. And I love what you're saying, because like the fact that I went there, that I'm like, oh, I don't ever see you as Batman. I see you as Nightwing. I see you as if you were a Batman figure, you're maybe the Plutonian, but like that's a Superman figure, not a Batman figure. And then you bring up Batman Beyond. You bring up Terry, who is so uniquely his own hero. I think of him more as Beyond than Batman. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you brought up the one Batman that makes me say that's a different person. Because like I haven't watched it yet, but evidently the film interpretation of Aztec Batman is getting some rough reviews, and like Mesoamerican Batman 200 years ago is like pretty much as solid as you can get away from capitalist Bruce Wayne.
Yep.
So I mean, you really went out of your way to like point to the best examples of where it's different.
Yeah, I mean, because it usually isn't, so they do stick out.
And part of where like I think a lot about who Batman is the personal one-on-one experiential avenues of being Batman, right? When I compare Batman to somebody at Marvel, it's usually Spider-Man. He's not analogous in terms of character. He's analogous in terms of success. And when I think about Batman, as soon as we get off of this recording, I'm probably going to go over and boot up my PC, and I'm going to go play some Arkham Asylum, probably, because that's my Batman. Like, being Batman, playing through as Batman is one of the hallmarks of my personal experience, loving this character. Somebody said to me recently that they've essentially read Long Halloween because they've played through Arkham Knight. Fuck you. But I'm kidding. I love him so much, and I'm sure he's very fuckable. But the thing that gets me is, oh man, dude, give me one X-Men game that is 1/5 as personal as is the Arkham series. Now, I don't remember if you've played through much of it or just played cursory enough to have the dialogue with me, but I've played through the three main games. I'm on my 100%ing of Asylum, and I'm going from there. But like, you changed my life by letting me just like watch you play Zelda sometimes. Like, just like the sitting and breathing in somebody's experience is part of what makes X-Men unique. Hope you survive the experience. You've read enough Batman. I think we can agree Batman doesn't do a lot of trial and error. We see Batman succeed. We cut to Batman had a plan. He tried several things, and this is the one that worked. And we see it work. But the X-Men fail a lot. I don't think we've ever gotten an X-Men game 1/80th as good as the Batman games we've gotten. And that's just because the Arkham games are some of my favorite games of all time. But like, as somebody who helps me understand how I feel about video games, how do you feel about the state of Batman versus the rest of everyone in superhero video games?
I mean, they haven't attempted to make a AAA X-Men game in a really long time.
Was the last one really Next Dimensions 2? No,
yeah,
Legends 2. Legends 2.
Well, that's what I mean. What I was ultimately going to say is that I think for their time comparatively, it's a little bit easier with Batman because he's one guy, and in terms of getting personal, he's not just one guy, but he's the guy. And so you sort of by default can and will get much more personal with everyone's favorite character from the franchise if you are playing a Batman game. You know, I don't know that anybody would be as excited if it was Batman Arkham Robin. And
Gotham Knights featuring
but,
Red Hood, Nightwing, Batgirl, and Robin was a flop. So you are, full flop Tina.
Well, and again, I think it doesn't meet the criterion of personal.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're like across the board, you are right.
And Gotham Knights just is you're right, it's just a flop. And I think what they missed was that game was actually their chance to make what the X-Men games are, which is a family game. It's a team game. It's about different stuff. So like I think I still would give the edge to the Arkham games. But if you account for the different generations, I do think X-Men Legends 1 and 2 come very close to doing as good a job at dealing with what they need to do for their IP as the Batman games do, as the Arkham games do. And it is because like you are going to find it really, really difficult to do a single person X-Men game.
I hope. If you don't find it difficult to do a single person X-Men game, I feel like you maybe don't understand the X-Men.
Yeah, and you can do a Wolverine game, but then they're never going to do a Wolverine game that's an X-Men game, because as soon as you're in the Wolverine game that looks as good as Arkham does, and like I think this one is the one that they're talking about, for me, it's going to be an immediate problem when I see Jean in that game and I can't play as Jean
yes.
for the entire game. Because I'm happy to play as Logan. I would play 40 hours of Logan gameplay, but I would like at least that much time playing Jean in a story that ultimately then would have to be its own story to be as personal and would have nothing to do with Wolverine's story, because they don't, their triggers are different, their romances are different, their backgrounds are different. So it's not like you can be like, well, it's the same story, but you swap Jean and you play as Jean instead of playing as Logan. Like, no, that would be a terrible game for both characters. So Batman has a little easier job of doing a single player game. I do think, like I said, I think it still does a really good job of it. And again, it's done it much more recently with much better technology. Nobody's touched the X-Men in a while. I think it shouldn't. I think there should have been more X-Men. I mean, like I get why there's not, because Fox knew they were going to lose it. There's no point in spending money on it,
and that's always stopped Rupert Murdoch from making a bad decision with money.
Well, I mean, you are correct. I was just watching a thing about the acquisition of MySpace and their
We
choice.
literally watched similar things earlier today.
Yeah, the choice to promote MySpace across every Fox property, but by the time they started doing it, MySpace was already on the decline from Facebook. So they would talk about stuff like, Hank Hill's propane company having a MySpace page, which businesses just didn't have MySpace pages. Like, tattoo artists would have a MySpace page, but again, it was still like their personal page. They weren't really anyway.
Out there
And so
somewhere, there is a MySpace page with an Ed Sheeran demo of Azazam, and we are all just going, "Oh,
yeah, I mean, it's by the time I was deeply invested in MySpace, and I just remember by the time Facebook started being available to every college and not just exclusively to like certain colleges, I was like, oh, this will win. And that was like 2 years before it was bought by Fox or by Rupert Murdoch. Anyway, way too long a tangent. We haven't had a good X-Men game in a while. We're not even getting one anytime soon.
no." Honestly, this upcoming Wolverine game, I
Yeah.
don't want to be like, but this upcoming Wolverine game and this upcoming Arkham game, I feel like that is meant to compete.
Yeah, I think the Wolverine game will do better because it's new. I think it could sell better if they are in the same ballpark of quality. I think the Wolverine game could sell better because it's new. But again, that's not an X-Men game. That's a Wolverine game, and even if it has Jean in it, that's not an X-Men game. I think it's interesting. I mean, I think the bigger thing to compare it to is the Spider-Man games, which,
like Spider-Man, when Spider-Man 2 came out, that game was everything to me. That PS2 game.
Listen, I don't appreciate what you're doing here.
I am talking about an amazing game that everybody thinks is not as cool as Spider-Man featuring Miles Morales, which is amazing. But that Spider-Man 2 game, the mechanics.
I mean, those were not bad games. But I think the Batman games did better than the Spider-Man games.
Correct.
I think they did. I would think they did better financially. I don't have that on hand, but you're saying correct, so I'm correct. And I think they were. I think the Batman games were bitter. I don't know. I'm not quite sure what the takeaway is there. Sometimes the studio just has it right, is getting it right. And don't get me wrong, Insomnia, it's not like they have it wrong. It's not like they're doing it badly. It's just that the Batman games are better. I am awaiting the studio for any Marvel game that is like, we shall be custodians of this and do it right forever. The only thing, unfortunately, that comes anywhere near that is fucking Kabam and Contest of Champions. Like, they're the only video game maker that I can think of a Marvel video game property that seems
Snap.
to have what?
Whoever it is that makes Snap is definitely at least trying to tie in.
I mean, I just CCG's digital card games of any sort, I always have a little bit of like, it has to be about so many other things. They are doing a great job, but I'm waiting for the studio that can produce a bunch of Marvel games where you're just like, these were some of the most important games of their time, so recognizable, so iconic. Everybody wanted them. Everybody wanted to play them. That simply isn't true of the Avengers game. It's not true of the Guardians of the Galaxy game, both of which were fantastic games, and yet did not capture the hearts and minds of America.
Well,
Spider-Man.
that's because Square Enix can't figure out how to do anything that isn't Final Fantasy. Sorry, wrong FF.
But go for it. Why are we not doing? I mean, like a mix of turn-based and action RPG Marvel games by Square Enix. a special Kingdom Hearts. I don't
Can you
like.
imagine if Marvel somehow figured out how to use Chain of Memories battle system?
Yes, I absolutely can imagine. It's a there. I anyway.
Truly, we would lose the entire series to talking about how Square Enix could literally relaunch the entire Marvel franchise.
Yeah, there's other studios too. But
Idalos is also a great one.
yeah. Who's the studio behind the Arkham games? Rocksteady.
Rocksteady,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
know it's not Rockstar.
they've got it. They get this property that they have been. Oh, and it's Eidos Interactive. They get this thing that they've been given stewardship of, and I think the Spider-Man games come really close, but again, they're not. The Arkham games did it first, did it bigger, did it better. So like the Spider-Man games are not bad at all. There's really not anything bad to say about them. They just aren't as big. And Spider-Man arguably is a bigger character on a different day of the week. He's a bigger character. So like you'd love to see for the game to be competitively, like noticeably in the same league. Anyway, Batman is a unique property that I have found myself very enamored of learning about in the last year. And that is what I sort of reflect on in this Batman day.
All right, I got a question.
Yeah.
Original X-Men trilogy or original Batman quadrilogy?
Batman.
X-Men. Somebody asked me my favorite Batman movie recently, and I said Batman Forever, and they stopped replying. I don't regret. So I recently, I guess like it was a year ago, I saw that they were doing a new pressing of it, and I saw that the Batman and Robin soundtrack got a new pressing, and I was like, there is nobody that I think of as like the 90s soundtrack king, quite like I think of TK that way. And so like I get you feeling it's Batman
Yeah.
because bat nipples made me gay, but no,
Well, you also said quadrilogy. It's there's hugely important things about the Burton duo.
No, because I've watched the Bullets and Blockbusters video about how the third film was never made, and it is such an incomplete trilogy without that third film that I just choose to think of it as a quadrilogy, and it's better for everyone because the third movie would have been terrible. And so, if you want to keep loving the first two, don't think about the third one. It's not a duology; it is part of a quadrilogy, and everyone is better for it. But there was a director, and I feel like, oh god, I can't remember, but I think he's important. Christopher Nolan, and I believe he might have rebooted the Bat films. And what's so interesting, I am making a humongous over deal about Christopher Nolan rebooting the Batman films, because they literally just had the same people keep making X-Men films. So, later X-Men quadrilogy versus Batman trilogy. How do you feel about stacking Days of Future Past and First Class and Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix Saga against the Nolans?
I think the unmade fifth Paul Blart Mall Cop movie is more exciting to me than the best moment of the Nolan movies. I think the Nolan movies are so stupid and embarrassing to the culture of the world that we live in. I think they are a pox on this country, and they're part of the reason why we're in the miserable shape that we're in. 100% the X-Men movies. Yeah, there is basically nothing redeeming about the Christopher Nolan trilogy.
All right, fascinating, because what I'm going to say is I equally think that the Christopher Nolan Batman movies are bad. If you guys thought that my takedown of Community earlier was a hot take, you guys should hear how I feel about Christopher Nolan movies and iPhones.
Yeah.
I I hate the Christopher Nolan Batman movies because it's one of those things where, like, when I was coming back to comics, I grew up on comics, and I felt like a bunch of boys that I wanted to be with told me that if I stopped being a nerd, they'd fuck me. You know what I mean? Like, they would, like, sit on it and everything would be great, and I would feel complete because I would have achieved this thing that I was told was the 17-year-old definition of success, and that my 12-year-old definitions of success were 5 years old. And right around that time, I met a guy who was like, wait a minute, you're telling me that you will talk to me about nerdy things on top of doing those, like, 18-year-old adult things? Cool. And I kind of came of age with all of this. I came of age with these characters evolving into these new forms, and this is the guy that I ultimately saw Batman Begins with. And I feel like, because this person is also the person that I started reading comics with again in the modern age, I feel like the Batman Begins, the Nolan Batman, is essentially Whedon X-Men. It is such a great read of the stuff that came out in the mid 80s from a very cinematographic point of view, and it encapsulates very particular emotional beats that fit the needs of people who stopped reading a long time ago. Um, there is nothing that Kate Pryde achieved in Astonishing X-Men that she did not achieve in the pages of Excalibur, Extreme X-Men, and Mechanics, and Revolution. And we were told that these were new experiences because it was someone new writing it. I think sometimes that the Nolan Batman relies on a Cal Arts perspective on film more than it relies on a Boston University perspective on comics. And I think those West Coast cinematic identities overshadow East Coast emotionalism and critical de-evolution. I feel like one of the things that makes Nolan movies so good is choosing not to have emotions, but rather critique the way people have emotions. And the Nolan movies are really great at talking about how humans behave, but the X-Men movies are better at dealing with the messy way people feel. And I find myself frustrated by how that is the X-Men's greatest strength, and perhaps has held it back from video games, perhaps has held it back from more successful animated fare, because I believe we are 1 year from taking a look at X-Men 97 and giving it a C-. And it's because it was engaging and new and exciting. But I want you all to sit back and go watch Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse the Black Pearl, and tell me that it should launch 7 movies. I want you all to go back and watch the original cut of Star Wars. The original cut. I did not say go watch A New Hope on Disney Plus. Eat your dick. Go watch the original cut of Star Wars and tell me it should launch 76 films. I think if people really looked at the Nolan films, they would be bedraggled by the lack of emotion that is what makes Batman Mask of the Phantasm one of the finest pieces of superhero film ever made.
I hear what you're saying. I deeply appreciate your perspective on Nolan films as a whole. As
My
bad
take
as I
on Inception is
oh
brutal.
yeah, as is mine. I mean, like I think Inception is the fourth Batman movie.
Oh my god! And like every
And
now
that's an
and
insult.
then, every time somebody's like, "Memento really holds up," I'm like,
No, it absolutely does not. I mean, like I love Memento as a nostalgic reflection on myself as a cinema studies student, thinking I was so deep at 16 for liking Memento.
you
I
know,
was
the first time you see Repo, you think to yourself, "There's never been a weirder musical."
right. And it's basically just Dr. Horrible for a certain kind of nerd.
Oh,
Um,
oh my god! That is
yeah,
what
you're
a
welcome.
that sucks
Put that
so
on a mug. Put that on a fucking mug. That's from
that
me.
sucks so bad.
Yeah. Yeah, no. And it's the same thing. They were honoring Requiem for a Dream, and Ellen Burstyn was there, and Darren Aronofsky was just telling a story about how she hadn't seen it since the production, and was just like negging him about what a bad guy he was, for, and in a sweet way, of course. And Requiem for a Dream is the other movie where, like, I do recognize there's a lot that's much better about that than any of the movies we've been discussing, but I also do think in the same way that a lot of people let Nolan movies do the work of being good for them, so they don't actually have to develop any kind of critical sense. Requiem for a Dream is another one where people are just like, oh, I like that. And I was one of these people when I saw that movie when I was 16. For one thing, as everybody talks about, I absolutely
Went
scared
out and bought
straight.
diet pills. Wait, what?
No, I mean, it like stopped me from doing so many hard drugs so insanely, because I was like, I can't end up like Ellen Burstyn. And by the way, not worried about winding up like Jared Leto, not worried about winding up like fucking Labyrinth. Only person I was worried about ending up like was Ellen Burstyn, and to this day, that is my constant thing where I'm like, okay, my retirement plan is just to bliss out on drugs. I got to make sure I do not burst in this situation.
I
Um,
always sort of like count the pills.
yeah. Anyway, Batman, Ellen Burstyn would make a great Batman. Um,
Ellen Burstyn in Batman Year 4, Batman Takes It
are there
Easy.
any old women in Bat orbit?
Um, I'm gonna get
I'm
really
sure somebody knows somebody, but like no,
no,
like
someone's gonna really attack me for this, but Batwoman, no, he's got that elderly doctor that he works with.
okay,
He's
which it
got
was
a
that the role Ellen Burstyn plays in everything. So sure,
Ellen Burstyn as Q in James Wayne,
yeah.
Double O Batman.
Oh, she would be a great Lucretia Fox.
Oh,
Lucretia Fox.
yes,
Yeah.
give
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Ellen Burstyn, Lucretia Fox. There we go. Happy Batman Day, everybody.
I pitched this to TK as what if we only talked about Batman for 20 minutes,
Yep. You
and
did say that.
we are at 407 minutes. But one of the things that I just want to say about Batman that makes Batman work a little bit better than other characters is Batman is frozen as an adult in his childhood. Now, when you talk about Wolverine, Wolverine is introduced as an adult who is frozen in his adulthood. When you talk about Kate Pryde, she's a child introduced frozen in her childhood. We refuse to let Cyclops and Jean Grey grow up. We are focused on only the adult version of Storm, and the child version of her is always like a small old lady. For all of the comparisons between X-Men and Batman that we've made, one of the things that makes Batman feel a little bit different is we can become him as a child. There's a meme that goes around every now and then that says that Doms aren't born. At 13 years old, you listen to Closer by Nine Inch Nails and it awakens something in you. And 8. But the other thing is when you're talking about Batman, when you attach to Batman where your brain was in your growth cycle, that's the Batman you find. Whether it's little boy who watched his parents get mowed down, teenager who is finding who he is, or adult man who feels responsibility. I was a little boy who saw my father work 17-hour days without question to make his family have everything they wanted. My definition of Batman was guy who did everything for his family without question. Like, there's a lot of Catholic Cuban things about my upbringing where I believe that if somebody complains, your job is to go, oh, well, nobody should ever have to be put out. But if you want to complain, your response should be, I should never put anyone out. And like, that's the duality of Bruce Wayne. His job is to take care of everyone, even if it means foregoing taking care of himself. And my husband sees a totally different Batman. Hot older boyfriend and I have gone to 5 Batman days together. I'm so lucky that he is my Batman and I get to be his Robin. There's very few people I like look up to. It's like him and this guy next to me on screen. And I think a lot about what Batman Day means. There's a generation of people who have someone to look up to, whether it's in a diminutive status or it's as a peer, or maybe it's even in a way that I've never thought about. Hot older boyfriend sees himself as Batman. He never sees himself as anything less than a superhero because his job is to take care of his family. But like, he never denies me being Batman. I see myself as his Robin, but I'm the only one who sees me that way. He sees himself as my Alfred and sees me as a Batman. And like, when you talk about Batman Day, it's because Batman is someone who has given us 90 years of feeling like our own superhero. I've never heard anybody say Charles Xavier made Scott Summers feel like they could be the S-Men. And as someone lucky enough to have had a Bruce Wayne for 20 years, I have never questioned that I am a Batman. And, this is X's for show. This is X's for podcast, X's for comics. X-Men is like the most important thing to me in the universe. It's X-Men, Daredevil, and Green Lantern. Nothing comes close. And it's like Daredevil and Green Lantern fused for second place. Something X-Men has never given me is I have never felt like Xavier wanted me to be a king. Magneto wants me to be a king. Apocalypse wants me to be a king. I guess it's that Xavier is so close to Sinister that he could never be Batman. Apocalypse, Magneto, Wolverine, they're Batman. Scott Summers is kind of an Xavier. I can't think of a time that Scott Summers has made Cable feel like a king. So there's a reason we have Batman Day. We might even have X-Men Day, but I can't imagine ever having Xavier Day.
Yeah. I could see having X Day, but like, I don't know. Any X-Men Day, any Mutants Day is a pride parade. It's pride. Whether that be Puerto Rican Day, Native Heritage Day, Asian Pacific American Heritage Day, Gay Pride, whatever. I mean, that's always what it's going to be. There's never going to, and this goes back to the whole thing that we've been talking about this whole time, which is like, this is the reason why there's no really personal X-Men games, because that's the cast of characters needs to be hundreds of people and they would all need a lot of story. But Batman Day is, Batman games are just the one guy. Batman Day is just for the one guy. And it's a really cool thing that these two companies have these very different things, because again, I don't think DC has anything like the X-Men. I don't think they have anything like the mutants. I don't think they have some stuff that like gets a sort of reaction out of people in a similar way, but it just, you can't imagine what I think a lot of especially queer people identify heavily with the Amazons. And I know, of course, a lot of women do. And you sort of imagine what you would be like as an Amazon.
I really want to, though, applaud you for kind of like making a clear moment where maybe every gay man does not need to appropriate Amazon culture. And
Right. Well,
I
exactly. Like,
really
I think
appreciate
every
the
gay
line
man
you're
loves the Amazons and is sort of like, what's my like inner Amazon? But that's sort of like being in touch with your feminine side, which is a great thing to do. But they are women. So like you can imagine sort of the woman in your heart, and you should have a woman in your heart. You should always embrace your feminine. It's a great part of all of us, but like, it's a slightly different thing. Anybody can be a mutant. Anybody can be an X-Man. And so again, you're celebrating that culture and community. But yeah, there's never going to be, if there were an X-Men day, it would be a culture. It would be a group day. There will never be an Xavier day. I personally, freaky bitch that I am, would celebrate the shit out of Apocalypse Day, but that's just me. I love that man. He's large. He got a big old suit. He sometimes turns it into a mech and just drives it around.
Okay, hold on. This guy is basically the non-blue version of the slices of Apocalypse. Your abdominal section does look a little action figure-ish,
And
sir.
we're both vaguely Semitic. We descend. I descend from the region of which he is, of origin. They are definitely not Jewish, but I bet if you really futzed around with the plot, you could make them Jewish.
And
now you can't, because it turns out this was all everything with Apocalypse happened so long ago.
I feel that there is a crazy powerful value to connecting Apocalypse to Magneto's Jewishness.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like one of the things that I find frustrating is there are no true geniuses in X-Men that aren't white, whereas in the rest of Marvel, all of the geniuses that they've added in the last 40 years aren't white. But like, name me one non-white super mutant genius, and I'm struggled. I feel like if you were to remember that the Jewish people as a community are both a culture and an ethnicity, you can begin to trace the quality of what it means to be heritage bringing in mutant kind. You can pass on more than just like Ileana and Pietro share being Russian. You can pass on more than just Sean and Teresa share being Celtic. You can have what it means to be Jewish as more than just what it means to be someone who celebrates Hanukkah in the December issues. And also, we mention Israel.
Yo.
By the way, happy Batman Day.
Happy Batman Day from the X-Men.
This is an X-Men show. End of the day.
I know. I mean, we're always going to come back to it. I don't super worry about it. But I feel like I said a lot of shit about Batman that are like heartfelt realizations that I've had again over this last year of becoming part of the Bat fam. And I love that. I love what my Batman experience has been. This is a fascinating character to get to play around with. And I mean, it is one of the truly great, iconic American characters. You know,
And I think he absolutely is a mutant. I think Batman's mutant power is deduction, and it has led him through every minute of his life.
I love that. I don't agree. But like I also do. That's very Community. That's that very what does he say he likes? But also I don't. Anyway, it's
You never went to 1 star.
I I love that the repeated, and again, Monolith, the repeated refrain about Batman is that he is just a guy. Peak physical condition because he pushes himself to be. Peak
And he's
mind.
6'7".
Well, that one is, but that one also seems stupid. But Bruce Wayne of the primary universe, peak physical condition because he works out, peak mental condition because he works hard, peak financial condition because he inherited it, and that's really the only way you're ever going to get there.
Money.
But like, I love that the constant refrain is he's just a man, just like you. And that is a really different message, and yet at the same time not from you have something special inside you that makes you different and people will hate you for it, but also that's your thing and always embrace it. Nobody talks about Batman like this, but like he has something special inside him. It's autism. And no, it's that drive to be great.
No, I mean, it really is. Like,
it's
we do not talk enough about how, I mentioned earlier that as somebody who really relates to Morgan from High Potential, I really get it. But like, what I left out is I have bipolar disorder and I have manic apps.
Yeah,
manic
that is the only thing about that show, which I love. That
will they please mention the depression that follows
yeah,
from
like
mania?
they sort of dash a little bit of it in there, like, but they are not really. I think like the person that needs to be the consultant on that show, because she captured so amazingly how great a character can be to root for and to follow, but also how dark it is to be mentally ill. Rachel Bloom,
Charlie Sheen. Oh, okay.
Fuck off. Rachel Bloom and Rebecca Bunch. Even though I'm now mad at her for beliefs about other things. She really figured out how to show that like high functioning has a whole other side to it. And like these are the terrible things, and yeah, it is the one thing missing from High Potential, and it's the one thing missing, I think, not the one thing missing from Bruce, but it is a part of Bruce that is, I think, people get really scared to explore. You talked about the self-sacrificing caretaker for others, not really taking care of yourself so you can take care of others first, the trauma and the sadness of what happened to him. Those are all things that come up, but I think there's a real Morrison wanted to do this and did it, and then he was like, it's actually because the wetware software of his brain is different. But ultimately what he was trying to say, and what I wish a fraction, or is it Zdarsky or somebody else had really gotten more into, is like he is mentally ill and traumatized. Like he's definitely some kind of neurodivergent and he's traumatized, and it's really difficult to be those things and be a person in the world. And so like, as we wrap this up, my wish for Batman's future is that somebody is able to explore that, because I think you can still have this monolithic character who is always going to be the greatest, and he's always going to be Batman. He is always going to solve the crime. He's always going to be the person who could beat Superman in a fight. He can be all of those things and then go into his bedroom and have a nervous fucking breakdown and not be able to get out of bed for 2 days.
You know, when you talk about not being able to get out of bed for 2 days, I feel like the X-Men are so comfortable saying Wolverine didn't get out of bed for 6 days because Cyclops was there to do all of the work. I feel like one of the things that by having Batman be Batman, Nightwing never becomes Nightwing. The Tom Taylor run of Nightwing is more important to me than like most comics since Frank Miller's Daredevil. So I find myself in a place where I agree, and because the X-Men started as a group, the X-Men are different. Batman started as a solo, so Batman is held to a solo standard. This Batman Day, I guess what I'm grateful for is, as someone who fancies himself a Batman, I'm really lucky I'm in an X-Men of Batman. And I need to learn to ask for help more. And I need to learn to say, I'm scared, I'm flailing, I am failing, and I am not achieving. And one of the things that makes that scary is just what Batman has achieved in his life. But one of the things that makes that possible is the times I can think of in things like Absolute Power, where Batman turned to Nightwing and said, "Save me." Where in Beast World, Batman turned to Nightwing and said, "I think I did bad things. Can you lead me back to this light and lead me back to this righteous path?" You know, I don't worry that Batman would have tweeted something positive about Charlie Kirk, but I worry that Batman would enact a centrist value. I worry that he would say that it's okay to put fret markers on a base, and it's not. You should be able to gauge where the 15th fret is. I'm not going to apologize. And so as Batman Day wraps up, I think one of the things that we need to take a moment and remember is that Batman is the hero, the king of leading young men to be the best they can be, but it's with an exacting precision. And I'm really grateful that Batman would yell at me that I should be able to physically identify the 5th fret on a bass without asking me to mark it up. My relationship with Batman Day is we are all Batman, but Bruce just, we can all be Batman, and every one of us is our own fashion magazine, and every single one of us is Nina Garcia. But god damn it, does Heidi Klum do it better? And TK, I think what I'm trying to say is, no matter how hard I Nina Garcia, you are my Heidi Klum.
I'll take it.
Cool. You should absolutely be German and married to Seal. Don't cry tonight,
No,
my baby.
I should not be no longer married to Seal for apparently very unfortunate reasons. I should be hot in German and nail Halloween. I mean, that's really the reason I'll take it, is because I'm shit at Halloween and shit at costumes. And if I'm Heidi Klum, then I'm fucking killing it. And so I'll take it. Heidi Klum for Chase Meridian in the next Batman movie.
Oh, you and I have very different ideas about what you should do for Halloween. I think you should absolutely just paint a question mark on your chest.
Oh, well, no, I wasn't saying I was going to be Heidi Klum as Chase Meridian. I'm saying literally Matt Reeves, call her.
I'm saying you should be the Riddler for Halloween and just paint a giant question mark on your chest.
I think I'm gonna do that Nightwing cosplay that I wanted to do. I'm just we'll talk about it off air, but I don't know how you
guys guard your balls, because Jesus.
I don't know how you paint fabric to do the Nightwing logo, but I know the shirt that I want to do it on. Anyway, I think I'm gonna
mail it up here. Hot older boyfriend will take care of it for you in 3 minutes.
Oh, okay. I will actually probably really do that.
You should.
Amusingly, I thought of him today because I finally found a tailor in my city. So
hot older boyfriend is a tailor, and so I have not had anything tailored by anyone but hot older boyfriend
I
for the
know.
last 18 years of my life.
Yeah, I'm very, very jealous.
It is actually really special when somebody who like understands your measurements like a superhero tailors your stuff. So I love what you are pointing out. But TK, one of the
Y'all.
things that I think that not enough people appreciate about you and your identity is that you are, I mean, don't get me wrong, stupid hot, but you are also really smart. And like one of the things that I love about your smartness is people can like read your words between like your pictures. Where can they find that?
You do that on the socials for let's not go with smart. For the less dumb, you go to Blue Sky, and that's TK Accidental. For the real dumb, which is just mostly reposting absolute shit content, that's going to be Instagram, which is also TK Accidental. So just, look for that. You'll find me. You who are not just smart, but lyrical, musical, long in the tongue, short in the tooth. No, shortish in the tooth. What's all that? Where we do that? What's happening? Where are we going?
You can find my short little teeth over at Nico Action, NICOACTION. Guys, don't forget to check out all of the music at Nico Action Music. That's NICOACTIONMUSIC. If you guys just search that on Google, you guys will find it on SoundCloud, YouTube Music, and more. But the real thing I want you guys to do is check us out over here at X's for Comics and X's for Podcast. We love you guys. We love making this show for you. So do us a favor. Please be brave. Stay safe, and also evolve daily. Who you were yesterday, amazing. Who you are today, incredible. But who you are tomorrow, that's the dream. And until you guys come back to check us out, finishing off Amalgam, talking about how much we love Deadpool Batman, having the best time being Marvel DC fanboys, I think what we are going to do is we're going to see ya.
Y'all.